Is Bigfoot 8 all it's hyped up to be? Can the Equalizer withstand the heat of the World Championship points race? Is the USA 1 on the comeback trail? And will Gravedigger bury them all? The questions are answered today on TuffTrax. Again, everyone, I'm Scott Douglas with Army Armstrong and Chris Chapman welcoming you back to Flemington Speedway in Flemington, New Jersey. Our second week in this beautiful racetrack for great competition with the superstars of monster truck racing on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Last week, the big story was supposed to be the return of Bigfoot 8, and it was, but it wasn't a triumphant return. Here he's disqualified in the quarterfinal round, and the Equalizer, the World Championship points leader, loses in the quarterfinals to the Carolina Crusher Chevrolet. That allowed the USA 1 to come storming back, and in the Monster Smash final against the Auto Value King Krunch, after a month's worth of repairs, USA 1 was back in victory lane, and it was a very happy Steve Wilke and the USA 1 crew that got the victory, albeit one they couldn't quite stop to enjoy for a minute at the end of the track in Flemington. Army Armstrongs with last week's winner, Steve Wilke.
Well, the big story last week in Flemington, New Jersey, Scott, as you well know, was USA 1 came back. Like the Phoenix, came back from the grave because earlier in the year, about 6 weeks ago to be exact, USA 1 took a violent flip in Richmond, Virginia, and at that time, everybody in the sport, competitors, all people said, no way, these guys are through for the year. But that's not what you guys are made of, is it?
No, absolutely not, Army. True Value and Chevrolet give us enough backing and support where we go home and we've got enough dedication with the people back at the shop that we can take a truck out of the grave and rebuild it and come back and run strong and run with the best in the country.
Tell me about the wreck at Richmond.
It was a pretty violent one, Army. I come down in between the cars and the left front tire hooked the other lane of cars and actually twisted the axle, the left front tire out from underneath the truck, and drove right over it with the rear tires and barrel rolled it twice.
When you guys came to Flemington, New Jersey last week, a lot of people kind of went, wow, the gas, they couldn't believe you were here. But when you rolled in the gates, you had what we call a 1,000-meter stare in your eyes. It was almost like you were destined to win this thing, and you did. But, man, it was not easy at all, was it? You had to really work for it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, any event that we come to, we know there's no easy competitor out here. It used to be that way a couple of years ago when the sport really got started, but not anymore. You've got to stand on it and stand on it all the time in order to win.
Well, speaking of tough competitors, right now Chris Chapman is standing with one of the toughest competitors. We understand she's on the other side of the fence with a Bigfoot crew.
Thanks, Army. Last week here on TuffTrax, we all had the first opportunity to see the return of Bigfoot 8. And indeed, it was a return, but one that Andy Brass driver, I don't think we were really that happy with.
No, we're not. You know, I can say what last week was one of the first weeks we got back in with TNT monster truck racing here, and it wasn't. We went out the second round. We're having a lot of problems trying to get the truck onto the track and stay with it. We're having problems where we're thinking it's part of the track's fault and part of the truck's fault.
Andy, this is a really high-tech truck. Do you think that you put too much modern technology into just plain old racing?
No, I don't think so. I think what a lot of it is, the truck is set up, it's set up loose, you know, and I think what we're doing is the truck is trying to follow the cars too much. We're getting a bad path in the cars, and the truck's just trying to follow the bad path, you know. We're trying to clear all the cars, land on the ramp, and so we can make a good straight run, but our starting line's not back as far as we'd like it to be, so it's, you know, trying to jump over 6, 7 cars right off the bat is going to be hard.
You were really, really squirrely out there. Do you have any idea how to control that tonight?
Yeah, we're thinking we're going to try to lock the rear straight on it tonight, you know, try some stuff in that. We're thinking our rear wheels are pulling us one way or the other. We're getting our bypass valves or maybe getting a little weak, a little old, and they're not holding the steering like they should, so we're going to lock it solid and try to run that way tonight.
Well, good luck to you and the Bigfoot 8 team.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Let's go now back to Scott and Army.
You know, Bigfoot 8 needs to make up some ground in a hurry in the World Championship points race. He finds himself 80 behind Equalizer, exactly where he started last week. Carolina Crusher actually made up some ground on the front, too, and he's going to be knocking on Bigfoot's door pretty soon. The Auto Value King Krunch is third, Gravedigger rounding out the top 5. And look, USA 1 is about to overtake Awesome Kong, and Steve Wilke tries to re-attack the top 5. Nightlife Outlaw and Buffalo Tremor rounding out the top 10 on the World Championship points race here on TuffTrax.
Today's TuffTrax is brought to you by Nintendo. Nintendo, now you're playing with power.
TuffTrax coming your way from Flemington, New Jersey with the TNT Monster Truck Challenge, the major league in monster truck racing. And we're going to check some qualifying round highlights as we see the Bigfoot number 8 truck. And again, remember, Andy Brass was disqualified in his qualification run a week ago, and I think that led to his whole night's worth of trouble.
Yeah, that started a bad nightmare for him, but he and the crew have sat down and they figured it out. They believe the rear end was moving on them. They blocked their rear end off. We're going to find out right now if they made the right move. Brass again comes out, pulls the trigger. It's there. Look at this. Bigfoot, I think, has found the handle. Now can he find the brake? Yeah, shuts her down.
Fast time in the Bigfoot 8 truck after the problems of a week ago. So Andy Brass has served notice that just maybe they have found what they need to do a 603, by far much faster than anything we saw last week.
Watch how the truck takes off. Andy used the terminology, and I like it. It's like a sponge. When it lands, it sticks. Today, it's landing straight, sticking straight, going straight, and winning straight up. Look at that. That was great.
6.76 was a pretty good run for Buffalo Tremor as well, but Bigfoot's run was just awesome. Awesome.
One thing that's interesting, they're running on the same cars as last week. We told the story last week about good lane, bad lane. He had lane choice. Look where he goes. Last week, that was the bad lane. And Holbrook had his share of problems. Now he's going to qualify out of that same lane tonight. Let's see what happens. I'm glad we had that replay to give us some type of a comparison.
Yeah, that was his disqualified run of a week ago, and we're going to see if he can now keep it straight. Bigfoot obviously corrected his problem. We'll see Equalizer line up against last week's winner. Now, I know they're qualifying, but Equalizer, I think, would like to show Steve Wilke right now that his truck is to be reckoned with.
Yeah, each driver wants to bloody the other one's nose right now. Wilke's going to get that honor. Confidence. When you win in this game, you get all kind of confidence. There's proof of it right there. That's a whole new Steve Wilke. We got big problems on the other side of this camp.
He just completely left the cars, did not even try to get over and make a legal pass, which he could have done to get himself put in the field.
Might be a transmission problem, Scott. We'll see if we can find out.
We see USA 1 had no problems. His run was excellent, but disqualification is the official word on Equalizer. USA 1 comes in at 7 seconds flat. Let's see what happened to Equalizer.
Greg, can you tell what the problem is yet?
Yeah, the transmission was slipping. I pulled up the line and started to back up, and it just barely would go in reverse. Then when the light turned green, I nailed it. Just sitting there, and the motor just revved up and didn't go nowhere, so I just coasted on off the track.
So will you be able to come back and have full steam?
Yeah, we think it's just low fluid. We're going to put some more fluid in and try it again here.
Good luck.
Thank you.
So they're going to try and get it ready to get in the field, the Equalizer truck and Greg Holbrook. Now, Army Armstrong's going to grab a racing radio here to talk with Scott Stevens of the King Krunch truck as the Auto Value Special, a finalist a week ago, now gets ready to qualify against Outlaw. Here comes Krunch, and let's listen to Army's conversation.
Scott, why do monster truck drivers roll up and touch that hill and then back straight up? Are you trying to get a feel for the ramp?
Yeah, I mean, just want to be sure the front tires are going to hit pretty straight.
Army, we're ready to go now with Stevens against Outlaw. Not in elimination racing, but in qualifying. But, you know, I'm sure a lot of fans wondered that over the years, why they take that line going up on and touching that first obstacle before they set up.
What you want to know? We got a big problem on the starting line. We'll go ahead and call it through. The Outlaw truck lays down a real good run. Scott Stevens had some kind of problem.
He's going to go ahead and come on with it now.
This is a short track. Look at these guys.
We're going to take a listen right now to Crash Ford and Scott Stevens' radio conversation and see what happened.
What'd you do? You don't want to know.
He said, you don't want to know, Army. Why do you say that?
Sound like a little driver's brain fade. We'll catch that story a little bit later, Scott.
There you see the times. Krunch's is awful. The Outlaw not bad at 6.82. And for Mike Wine, that's going to have him up in a pretty decent spot. As we look at him again, Chris Chapman is working his way over to talk with Scott Stevens. And let's see if we can find out exactly what did happen.
Scott, tell us what happened out there on the line.
The driver left his brain in the trailer.
So it's simply driver error?
Yeah, I just got out of my routine and thought I had everything ready to go. I didn't even have it in gear. Light turned green. something, and I realized it was all my fault, you know.
Well, that's kind of good news. You'll get to come back and show us what King Krunch really does.
Yeah, you know, I think the motor's all right tonight anyway. It was definitely my fault.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Driver brain fade. Scott Stevens just admits it right off. Hey, here comes Dennis Anderson. And remember, Army, the Gravedigger was the fast qualifier a week ago, but then he broke in the first round.
Well, Dennis Anderson's the only driver that in no way can qualify for brain fade as a monster truck driver. You take it from there. He is the wild man in the sport.
I'm going to leave that alone. Yeah. I got to talk to him after the race.
If you ever see him drive, you know what I'm talking about. Look at this. Go time. The Gravedigger.
Hang on, and that's all you can say to him.
Left
Got
slide. Yeah, look at that.
He broke it down.
Well, the end of the track, there's some great driving going on. Just getting shut down and turn back around.
You know, 6.46 will make him second fastest this week. So obviously, Dennis Anderson, the Gravedigger, loving this track at Flemington, New Jersey.
Well, he's able to really push it out the back door. Watch the truck settle. Now he can gas it all the way, and it works great. This just might be, Scott, the night for the Gravedigger.
He still, though, is 4/10 off the time laid down by Bigfoot number 8. We'll see if that has an impact later as the night goes on. But until a possible final, Dennis should have his lane choice throughout the night if he can keep it together.
But Dennis knows he can go straight. Does Bigfoot 8 know that? That's the big question mark.
And does the Equalizer...
Oh, look at this. Transmission fire. Right now, the driver is not aware of it. Now, this is unique. If he hits the brake real hard, that fire will come up underneath the driver. He's just driving it through. This kid he's almost a genius. Look at that. Eases through. Stop the truck and put the fire out. Now, if he'd have hit the brake, all that fire would have come right up underneath him, and he would literally have been on the proverbial hot seat.
Great observation, Army. There you see, it was a large fire, but it stays back there away from the driver's compartment. And boy, you just made a great point. If he'd have hit the brake, he'd have thrown it all up in there with him. Greg Holbrook, by the way, he also did get an official qualifying time off of that rather hot run for the Equalizer Chevrolet and Greg Holbrook. Wow. Man, we have seen some wild qualifying, but everybody now is back 15.11 with the penalty. However, it is still an official time, and that's all he needed. He figured he was going to be last anyway, going into the qualifying into the first round. Bigfoot against Nightlight, then it's Buffalo Tremor against the Auto Value King Krunch. The first round will continue with Carolina Crusher meeting Wild Hair. No Problem comes out against one of his old rivals, the Clydesdale Chevy. And then we'll round it out in the first round with Outlaw against Equalizer and Gravedigger against USA 1. It's all coming up. The work goes on underneath the Equalizer Chevrolet and Army Armstrong. It's kind of ironic. If people were with us a week ago, they heard Gary Cook say right here on TuffTrax that the advantage he had was that his equipment stays together. And tonight he's having huge problems.
Well, they're on the Northeast Tour right now. Not a lot of time in between races. You figure about 8 runs a night on an engine combination. It just caught up with him. Meanwhile, Bigfoot, what I want to see is what he's going to do out of the left lane. The first time in 2 weeks we've seen this truck go out of this lane. Let's see how it's going to act. In the right lane, it wanted to go to the right.
He races the Nightlight Chevrolet and Weiczorek and puts him away big time.
He cleared. He completely cleared the second set of cars, Scott.
Looks like Andy Brass is back to his old tricks. That's the Andy Brass we saw all winter. That's the Andy Brass we saw drive Bigfoot 4 so aggressively in Louisville.
Good camera angle. Look at this. Boom. Watch the back tires. Set it down. He completely cleared. You can't do any better than that.
What a piece of driving by Andy Brass, the driver of Bigfoot. Army's with him right now.
Andy, the truck is making it look easy, but I was watching you in that run, and you are just working your heart out up in there driving this thing. It's going straight, but you're driving it straight, aren't you?
Yes, it is. You know, we have, as you notice, we've had a lot of problems with it driving. You know, we've made some changes today on the truck, and Donnie and I have been working real hard on it. And I think we got the combination back together. It's true that I'm having to work at it, but I don't mind working at it a little bit if it'll stay going straight.
That's a good camera angle right there. Look at it. You think he's just riding? No. That guy's working.
That's Army with Andy Brass. Now Army's working his way over to grab that communication radio again, so we'll get the opportunity to hear the conversations between Army and the crew of the Auto Value King Krunch, Scott Stevens and Crash Ford.
All right, you guys with the Auto Value team, we're going to talk with your crew chief, Scott. We're going to ask him what happened in that qualifying shot. It didn't look like the same old you.
Kevin?
Yeah, he said he got a little bit rushed there. He should have took his time and, you know, did what he had to do the same old thing over and over like we normally do. But, you know, sometimes you get shook up. Those things happen. So we're just going to go on in the next, you know, first round here. Hopefully beat, you know, Buffalo and then go into the second round and deal with Foot.
They've got to beat Buffalo Tremor first to do that. They're over in the right lane, but that didn't bother the Auto Value King Crunch truck last week.
No, but this is a truck you got to keep an eye on. Johnny Kwasniewski, this kid is close to home. He's new. He's due a good run. This might be when he shows up. He comes out side by side with the Auto Value King Crunch. He's got him in half track. Good run. Good run. How about that kid out of New York? He's definitely for real.
Ever win? Yeah, what are you doing there at the finish? I was hanging it out.
Scott Stevens says he was hanging it out. His question, you may not have been able to pick up clearly at first, was, did I win? Yes, he did win. He gets the victory over Buffalo Tremor. Now remember, USA 1 hung it out in the Monster Smash against King Crunch last week, and he also hit the barrier card. So, you know, maybe Stevens learned something from what it takes to win.
Well, Scott Stevens could be in a pretty good shape right here. However, it could be a classic case of winning a battle and losing a war. You get through that round, Scott, but it looks like you got the other blue truck going against you. Bigfoot in the next round.
Yeah, you know, we've been running real good with him. It's like Andy's got his truck working real good tonight, though, and you know, I was off in qualifying really bad and kind of made a little mistake then. Didn't get up the line hard enough. But, you know, truck's working real good. The motor problems we had last week are gone. So, you know, we're looking good for the next round. You know, we know it's going to be a real tough race. You know, they got that Bigfoot 8, you know, running good tonight. That's all we can do is get that Auto Value truck out there and hopefully kick some tail.
Chris is standing by with John Kwasniewski.
You seem pretty excited right now. Were you really satisfied with the run overall?
It was a good run. I'm satisfied with it. But we're running with an older truck here, and we're running against the newer trucks, and we're still keeping up. 3/100 a second ain't bad.
Well, good luck to you if you come back as a fast loser.
Thank you.
2 fast losers will advance out of this first round of competition. Here's the Wild Hair against the Carolina Crushers.
Scott, kind of interesting in the interview Chris just had with Johnny K. He talked about the old truck. Well, these are 2 of the oldest trucks on the circuit. Now, one of the changes is that the Wild Hair, he stepped up. He didn't put a new engine in it. Another old truck, Carolina Crusher, says next to him he's going with what is tried and true. Let's see what's going to work. The hot new engine setup or the old tried and true? Tried and true will move you to the next round every time.
Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher gets the victory over Marvin Smith and the Wild Hair in a battle of Chevrolets, and it looked like Porter really made the difference over in the middle of the cars because he stays straight. Watch Wild Hair. He gets really squirrely.
Yeah, you've got to be straight before you pull the trigger on that second set of cars, and that's exactly where Porter was. Not an attack run, just a good run. Good enough to win.
Good enough to put him into the quarterfinals. Chris is standing by with Marvin Smith.
Marvin, some apparent technical difficulties with Wild Hair.
Well, what happened was I came over the first set of cars. There was no problem. I got sideways. I had to back out and straighten it up or I'd have missed the cars. I was ahead, but that's the way it is.
Motor running all right?
Motor's running, the truck's running terrific, but that left lane, I must have got over the groove. It kicked my back end around. I just couldn't bring it back around in time. I had to back off just a hair, and that's all it took.
Good luck on the rest of the series.
Thank you very much.
When we return, we'll see if the Equalizer can make the call. If he can't get there, Bigfoot 8's going to gain ground in the points race. Stay tuned. With the superstars of monster truck racing on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Next up, it's the Clydesdale Chevrolet. Bennett Clark from Powder Springs, Georgia, against the No Problem Ford Bronco and John Moore from Lafayette, Tennessee.
Farlane Chevrolet out of Georgia, the longest wheelbase truck on the circuit. He goes up against No Problem, the shortest wheelbase truck, which is the best combination. It's obvious right off the bat. Clydesdale having all kind of problems. Man, that guy just cannot get a handle on that truck on this track, Scott.
Second straight week that Bennett Clark and the Clydesdale have been disqualified and eliminated in early competition. So the victory goes to John Moore and No Problem. The old curse of the right lane, boy. That hole sucked him down in there, didn't it?
Yeah, but that left lane looked like a freeway. That right lane will bite you.
And again, we're talking about fans, when you look at it from this angle, turning it around. We're talking about the way the drivers get a look. Here's the curse to the right lane.
Talking about the other left and the other right, as my son would say.
The big hole sitting right in the middle of that car is sucking them down. There's Bennett Clark. Chris Chapman's going to try and get a word with him right now.
And obviously disappointed Bennett Clark. What in the world happened out there?
I just got out of shape and DQ'd myself. I can't believe it. 2 weeks in a row I've done it. I can't believe it.
What'd you do?
The truck started turning right. I just couldn't get it turned back in time. I had to let out a little bit. I'm getting fed up with it. I can't believe it.
So Bennett Clark continuing to struggle on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. The Outlaw getting ready to go up. Not against the Equalizer.
We got a buy run. Where do we get the buy run coming out?
Chris Chapman's going to find out what the problem is. She's back there with Gary Cook of the Equalizer.
Gary, you working feverishly trying to get the Equalizer back in running condition, just couldn't do it.
Now we're trying to change the transmission between rounds, and that's just about impossible. It's so hot, we're burning our hands. We gave it a shot, but we lost.
You said earlier that the Equalizer wasn't having any problems. Any hindsight on that?
Yeah, boy, don't ever say that, because last night we broke a dry shaft in the brake, and then the engine started giving trouble. We worked on them all day, went out to qualify, and then the transmission went out of the clear blue. You know, we had no indication, so that's just racing luck.
With Bigfoot ain't running as well as he is right now, does that concern you about the points championship?
Yes, it does. That puts us further behind, and that's a big hill to climb right now.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Let me explain. Gary Cook saying further behind. He doesn't mean they're behind in the standings. He means behind in terms of the points lead. They'll lose some points off the lead tonight that they have over Bigfoot because Bigfoot's going to gain. But Equalizer is still firmly in first place.
Yeah, but right now, everybody's going after everybody. It's like an old-time street fight. Man, nobody's giving anybody anything. Look who comes out right now. These guys will hit you just to see a smile come on their face.
What a matchup. Gravedigger and USA 1. Every fan is either standing or right at the edge of their seat ready for this one. USA 1, Steve Wilke, Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson. Early on, they're going head-to-head.
Neither one of them really known to be good stoppers on the end of the track. What's going to happen?
I don't know who won. We're going to have to check the replay.
I don't know who's going to stop.
Well, that's the best stop USA 1's had in 2 weeks.
I'll come back over the wall now.
Gravedigger just cut the turn and made it okay. Hey, we're just going to have to look at the replay, Army.
I have no idea. I was jumping over a fence when they went across the finish line. I'll be real honest with you.
Wow, what a race. Gravedigger and USA 1. Here they come again, Army. Let's see if we can tell a winner. We're still waiting on the official word.
God, man, you make this call. It looks like Gravedigger. Right there, there's your finish line. Gravedigger.
It is Dennis Anderson and the Gravedigger getting the victory by a whisker over Steve Wilke and USA 1. I'll bet Wilke comes back as a fast loser. Here we go again. Gravedigger and USA 1 from another angle, and Dennis Anderson pulls it out by a whisker. Let's go to Army Armstrong.
Dennis, you both came over here saying who won, who won. When you run down into that tube, that is just tough.
Yeah, it is. You know, it was pretty tight. I knew it was a real close race. And like you say, I really don't know who won. That's why we turned around and came back up here. And
this sport is unique in the fact that he can still be in this thing. To let a quick loser come back, that was an awfully good run he made. You may have to go against him later tonight.
yeah, that's true, you know, because I've come back several times a quick loser and won the race, you know, and that's the same with Steve. The truck is running good. I've got my truck running good tonight. If I get up beside him again, I've got a little bit more juice under the hood. I just don't want to tear the truck up, but if I got to push it to the limit, I'll do it.
Push it to the limit for Gravedigger Will, and he had to give it a good push right here.
You know, what you're looking at here is a typical TNT monster truck race. That's what this sport is all about.
Steve Wilke's got him right where he wants him. Last week, lost in the first round, came back as the fast loser, won the whole shooting match. He's going to come back as the fast loser again in the quarterfinals. Here's the way the pairings are. Bigfoot against the Auto Value King Krunch. The rivalry will be renewed. Then we'll see the Carolina Crusher meet Dave Weiczorek and the Nightlight Chevrolet, our second fastest loser. After that, no problem, takes on USA 1, the fast loser. And the final matchup of the quarterfinals, it's the Gravedigger against the Outlaw. And it's all coming up on TuffTrax. sports with certain degrees of dislike. Here's one, friends. These two people don't like each other.
Scott, they just flat hate each other. This is the line on it. Bigfoot thinks Scott Stevens is a crybaby from Texas. Scott Stevens thinks that the Bigfoot team nothing but a bunch of spoiled rich kids with a big Ford truck. But right now they're both painted blue, and somebody's going to come out of this thing black and blue.
They're trying to psych each other at the starting line.
Don't leave the line as soft as you did last time. Try to come off of it pretty hard. And if we can get him off the start, maybe we can shake him up and he'll disqualify himself.
God, this is Army. You guys look like you're square dancing out there. Everybody's do-si-doing, but nobody's going to the starting line. What's the holdup?
Yeah, you know, me and Andy, this is where we both like to be. We like to almost melt each other's motors down playing games, but I'll fix the goal line. Just do the best we can.
With you now.
Well, they're playing with each other, and I hope they'll get to the line and let us start a race here, Army.
You know, you can feel the electricity in the air, can't you? Man, this is eerie, what these guys are doing right now. The crowd is just in a hush.
Bigfoot 8, the King Krunch Auto Value Special, about to go head-to-head. Now, we're going to listen to the communications during the race of the Radio and the King Krunch crew. Let's listen in. Confident, and with a reason to be after that, because the Auto Value King Krunch, after all the talk, gets the win over the Bigfoot number 8.
I tell you what, these racing radios have brought a new dimension to motorsports. You get to listen to the NASCAR boys and everything, but you talk about drama. You could feel it there, and you were part of that ride. You put Bigfoot on the trailer, Scott Stevens.
Bigfoot getting out of shape between the cars. That's what ended up costing him in his battle with the Auto Value King Krunch. Well, Andy Brass has got it back in the pits. Chris Chapman is over that way. Let's talk to Andy.
Andy, you and Scott Stevens out there playing mind games before the light turned green.
Yeah, we was messing with Scott's been messing with everybody all weekend, you know, so we thought, well, we'd just get up there and play with him a little bit, you know. I think we could probably win the race. We just had a little bit of a problem there between the cars. Again, the truck wanted to go right and left. You know, we had to slow down, get out of it, correct it, get back in, you know, and we just kind of, once we slowed down, Scott caught back up with us, and we just couldn't catch it at the end.
When Bigfoot smacks the retaining wall, you know it's time for the Crunch of the Week.
The Crunch of the Week is brought to you by Nintendo. With Nintendo, you're playing with power.
How appropriate, the Crunch of the Week features the Auto Value King Krunch in one of his biggest victories as he knocks off Bigfoot.
Yeah, but one of the big stories here is look how hard both drivers drove out the back door. Brass does tag the inside wall at Flemington, New Jersey.
The Crunch of the Week with Bigfoot now on the trailer. Chevy's coming head-to-head here. Dave Weiczorik's Nightlife out of Nebraska. Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher from, of course, North Carolina.
Interesting story here. Weiczorek, brand new truck, privateer, you know the story, runs a Chevrolet. He's going against the old tried and true Carolina Crusher. So far, Porter's held a hot hand. Does he hold on to it this round? Yep, but not very much.
Still an outstanding run by Gary Porter and that consistent Carolina Crusher. And, you know, I don't want to jinx him, but we talk about these other trucks breaking, and it's very rare you ever talk about mechanical problems on the Carolina Crusher.
No, and I'm going to go along with your train of thought. Let's don't say another word about it, but you folks at home remember that. That yellow truck doesn't break very often.
He's consistent, and he got himself a consistent victory right there over Dave Weiczorik's Nightlife Chevrolet. Porter, you can see him in the truck right there. And we get a big hand from the crowd in Flemington, New Jersey as he steps out. And we'll get Army over to speak with the Carolina Crusher driver.
Gary Porter, we get down to only 4 trucks. You're going against King Krunch.
Scott, he's been making, some excellent passes, and I'm just going to have to go out there and let the truck do the best it can. I want Scott to have to do the best I can, hoping that they can win.
Scott acknowledges you're going to have lane choice. He acknowledges that you're probably going to put him in the bad lane, which will be the far lane. Is that going to be the case?
I want to stay in the left lane, but really that right lane is really coming around, and it's not near as bad as it was at one time, so it's going to be a real close race.
The Carolina Crusher, we'll see him a little bit later. Coming up, though, one of the hottest rivalries in all of motorsports. We talked about a bitter rivalry earlier. This one's just red hot. Grave Digger against the Outlaw. Don't you dare go away. The superstars of monster truck racing on TuffTrax in Flemington, New Jersey, as Steve Wilke, who won here a week ago, brings USA 1 out to take on John Moore and the no-problem Ford Bronco.
You know, Steve Wilke, to say he's had a peaks and valleys year would be an understatement. Because, man, when he was on a roll, he was unbeatable. But when he was having problems, everybody was thumping him. Let's see what's going to happen here. John Moore's going to take him to the left. Look at Moore. Half-track Moore's got him. Wilke goes down the tube. John Moore puts the USA 1 away, and look at his crew chief wife, Heidi.
Heidi Moore celebrating as John Moore, and no problem, getting a huge win, upsetting the 1988 world champion, Steve Wilke in USA 1, and he just beat him. I mean, there wasn't...
He just flat put him away. Wilke drove a good race. I think Wilke took a bad bounce right here, had the back pedal. That's all it took for Moore. He went straight for his throat.
Well, you're right. He really got it up and down, up and down. We'll get another look as they come right at you on the right of your screen. John Moore in the no problem. A nice smooth run. You can see USA 1 getting up and down quite a bit. And the victory goes to John and Heidi Moore.
You're not going to run against. You're not going to run against anybody who's going to run you any harder than that run right there.
Oh, boy, I hope not.
Okay. How about you? What's going through your mind sitting over there? You're the owner, the bookkeeper, and everything else, and the big #1 fan, with the exception of a little girl down in Florida right now.
Right. When you can beat USA 1, that's a good win. He's a tough truck, and when you can get him, that's a good win.
Well, we're down to 4. You're going to be one up. We'll see you in the next round.
Good deal. Thank you.
That's right, the semifinals for the Ford Bronco, known as No Problem with John Moore. But on the trailer early and very disappointed, I'm sure, Steve Wilke, who got the win here on TuffTrax a week ago, but comes up short, losing 2 straight races here tonight. Chris is over with Steve Wilke.
Steve, the car just didn't fall your way this time.
Well, it was a tough run. For some reason, I come out the first stack and did a horrendous wheelie in the mid-range, and I knew only pulling in 2-wheel drive, John's tough, and that's racing. You know, I must have put in a hole in the first stack there, and she wheelied out the stack and tried to stay in it, feather and play with it, but you do that and you lose, Chris.
You gotta love this matchup. Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger, Mike Wine's Outlaw, and Army, they both come in running very, very well. This ought to be a super race.
You know, both of them are talking bad about the other guy. And neither one is going to give an inch. Nothing else. Old pride's on the line here. You got New Jersey against Kill Devil Hill, North Carolina. I mean, you know you're going to see something right now. Mike Wine wants to win. He's close to home. Dennis Anderson, he wants to come up here and thump this Yankee. Let's see what's going to happen right now.
Outlaw looks good. Gravedigger takes over on the second set. It's all Gravedigger and Dennis Anderson. Problems for the Outlaw. Looks like a broken drive shaft.
Boy, a tough break. It was a good run for about the first 60 feet, but the old red light bandit goes into the next round.
Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger was the fast qualifier a week ago, but broke on a first-round victory. Tonight, those breakage problems have stayed away, and the Gravedigger has made it to the Final Four. He'll be going up against No Problem and John Moore after this impressive victory over another Ford, the Outlaw. Army standing by with Dennis Anderson, the Gravedigger.
Dennis, we're down to 4 vehicles. Looks like you got John Moore in this next round.
Yeah, I tell you what, old John's been running hard tonight, and when I line up, I just got to try to put him away because I noticed that Bigfoot's out of it, and I stand a good chance winning here tonight. I can just keep my truck together.
I noticed there's some liquid coming out of the truck. What's that?
It blew a little bit out of the radiator. I think it's just got an air pocket in it. The motor's not really hot. We just burped a little bit of air out of the radiator. It'll be all right.
We'll see you in the Final Four.
All right, thanks.
Mike Wine disappointed, I'm sure, with his loss to Dennis Anderson. Chris Chapman's going to talk to him now.
Mike, from our vantage point, it looked like that front drive shaft was broken on the first set of cars.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened. I come up the line pretty hard, went over the first set of cars. Usually if the drive shaft, it vibrates real bad, and didn't vibrate at all. Then I got on to go to the second set of cars, and it started spinning around on me. That's when I knew I only had two-wheel drive.
Well, some bad luck in your hometown. Maybe you'll do better in Weiczorek.
All right, thank you very much.
The word from Mike Wine in the Outlaw, he'll not be in the semifinals. Here's the way the Final Four breaks down. The Auto Value King Krunch will meet the Carolina Crusher for a right to go to the finals and face either No Problem or the Grave Digger. The semifinals are coming up next here on TuffTrax. Douglas, Army Armstrong, and Chris Chapman at Flemington Speedway in Flemington, New Jersey, where we're down to the Final Four in this competition among the TNT monster trucks. King Krunch, the Auto Value Special, Carolina Crusher, No Problem, and the Gravedigger still alive. We're ready for the Auto Value Krunch and the Carolina Crusher in our first semifinal.
You know, these people in Flemington, New Jersey are used to seeing some of the best flat track racing in America. Well, tonight it's just 300 feet long, but some of the wildest racing they've seen all year long. Who's going to the final? Well, we know it's going to be a Chevrolet. The question is, which one of these Chevrolets is going into the next round? Stay tuned. It has been a war all night long, Scott.
Carolina Crusher is doing just what Bigfoot did a few moments ago, really lagging around and taking his time getting to the starting line. And you heard Bigfoot say that they were just trying to do to Stevens what he was doing to everybody else. Let's see if we can hear Stevens' radio communication.
What's he going to do, play games then?
Be that close, Army. You're talking about the TNT people thinking that it's that close that they maybe have a dead heat. Let's get a look here on our replay.
Okay, now they have a camera right across from the finish line. That's what we're looking at right now. We're looking at the finish line camera. You call it at home, folks. Who took the win? The finish line is right there.
Boy, that's just too close to call. Army's going to go over and get with both drivers. Maybe we can get a little more insight and figure out a winner.
Well, the word we're getting right now, we're waiting to find... Okay, the word we just came down from the tower, you're going to the final. You made it through. Scott, he got you. They said they had to look at the replay about 3 or 4 times, but it's awfully close.
Yeah, it was a good race. I knew Gary would be real tough, and at the end there, I knew we were side by side. You know, he's running real good, and you know, you can't take nothing away from anybody right now. There's about 5 trucks running real good, and right now the luck's going with Carolina.
Well, we're going to bounce over to you. Thanks for coming, Kevin. You guys did a good job. Final time again. You've been here. Can you take this one out?
I think I can. Last week, you know, Scott got me in the semifinals. This week, I got him. You know, a lot of trucks out here are really very competitive and running a lot of close races, and I'm just thankful I'm where I'm at.
Well, as we get ready for the next one, watch it again now. You can see as they hit the finish line, Carolina Crusher by maybe 2 inches.
Well, I'm glad we did not have to call that. But I'm glad we do get to call this race.
Gravedigger against No Problem. Now, Gravedigger's definitely the favorite here, but Chris Chapman had a chance a little bit ago to talk to John Moore, who has had success in No Problem against the Gravedigger truck. Here's that interview.
Have beaten Digger before.
Yeah, I have, and I don't think it's going to be any different. He hasn't beat me yet this year.
Have you ever seen No Problem run this well?
No. This is no problem. It's running good. The truck feels good, and we're gonna run the wheels off it.
You seem visibly shaken. Are you going to make it?
I hope so.
I'm going to have to dispute John Moore's theory that Gravedigger hasn't beaten him this year. But I will say that John Moore's had maybe more success straight up than most other trucks against the Digger.
I asked Anderson a minute ago, what are you thinking about at the end of the run? He said, left turn, Clyde. He said, I can't shut it down. I've got to go left.
Over, right in the... Ooh, he almost landed sideways on those barricade cars.
He was gritting his teeth and holding on for a ride.
It shows you, Army, he knows he's got to go full tilt to beat John Moore.
Oh, yeah, Moore's pushing him to the limit.
And he did there, but Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger has made it to the Monster Smash Final. So in this very up and down year for the Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson hopes to have a glorious night in Flemington, New Jersey, the replay.
Well, the replay comes up. It's a good start by both trucks. Moore and a little bit of a problem coming off the first jump. Now, Anderson at this point said all he's thinking about is getting that rascal shut down and turned to the left, Scott.
Army, here comes Dennis Anderson. Let's see what he's got to say.
Well, Dennis Anderson is getting down to only 2. And you're taking a red light truck right in the middle of this thing.
Yeah, you said that right, Army. It's been some good racing out here tonight. I like this course. Although that's probably about the most crookedest run that I made there at the end. I thought I was going to get on John or get in John's way and end up stopping on that old set of cars down there. But we pulled it off, and it's going to be me and Porter in the finals. And I just got to try to hammer on him.
You know, it's kind of interesting. You and Porter are really off the track are very good friends. You help each other a whole lot and everything. You put that driver's suit on, there's no such thing as friends, is there?
No, it's not. Porter and I have gone a long ways back. You know, we've been in the business for 4 years together, and we've always traveled together. But just like you said, when we pull to the line, he's got a reputation to live up to, and so do I. So we're going to go for it.
Here's Chris with no problems, John Moore.
Johnny got your lane.
Yeah, I had to work a little bit at staying at that time, and I didn't think the lane was that bad. But no, I'm not going to make any excuses for that. It was a good race. I ran the truck as hard as it could go, and he just got me this time.
Everything all right with it?
Everything's fine. The truck feels good. The truck really is running nice. I'm real happy with it.
Despite a loss, that's good news, isn't it?
That's right. We can load it in one piece. That's a good deal. Thank you.
As Army would say, we're headed for a double throwdown, Donnybrook. It's Gravedigger and Carolina Crusher. Friends and foes. The Monster Smash is next. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to TuffTrax. It's time now for the Monster Smash between the Gravedigger and Carolina Crusher.
The Gravedigger has won in New Jersey.
You talk about a popular win. Boy, both of these guys did a great job. What about the points, Scott?
Bigfoot chops 9 off Equalizer's lead. It's now 71, but the trucks that dominated in New Jersey were numbers 3, 4, and 5, all making up some ground on the big 2. Crusher, Crunch, and Digger all had great weeks. USA 1 now a solid 6, trying to track Digger down, but it didn't help him tonight. The rest of the top 10 stays the same. Let's go to Army with Dennis Anderson in victory lane.
Dennis, what can I say? About 3/4 of a truck length, we understand it was a close war out there.
Yeah, it was. You know, I knew Gary was going to be tough. We had a battle a couple of weeks ago. Gary put me away. I kind of slept in the midsection there. I told him tonight he better tighten up every string in that old Chevrolet he's got because old Digger's getting down to put him down, you know, and I pulled it off, and it's been a long time, really, but I really couldn't have pulled it off without my crew members, Kim Bly and Ronnie Jones, and my sponsors, Crowler Cam, TCI Torque Converters, M30 Hand Cleaner, and the Wax Shop.
Tell you what, you're looking awful good. Real good racing tonight.
All right, thanks a lot, Oliver.
Gravedigger wins it. Obviously the biggest story. But can you believe Equalizer dropped out for 2 weeks in a row and Bigfoot made up next to nothing? We'll find out what happens next week right here on TuffTrax.
TuffTrax is brought to you by Nintendo. Remember, when you're playing with Nintendo, you're playing with power.